The invasion fleet entered Earth's orbit with confidence, their ships glittering like blades against the black void. To them, this planet was nothing more than a backwater, a world that the Galactic Council had long ignored. They saw Earth as weak, primitive, and unprepared for war, but arrogance had blinded them. From the command deck of the alien flagship, the Admiral surveyed the blue-green planet below. Reports from scouts described humans as scattered, divided, always fighting among themselves. The Admiral laughed at the thought, certain that conquering Earth would be the easiest campaign in their empire's long history. They had fought many species before, and most fell within days. But they had never fought humanity on humanity's homeworld. The first wave of soldiers descended through the atmosphere in burning dropships. Their orders were clear: secure major cities, break human defenses, and establish control points. As the ships roared down, bright trails cutting across the sky, millions on Earth looked up in fear and wonder. For a brief moment, panic spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled, armies mobilized, and civilians hid. Yet under that fear, there was something else. Something the invaders did not expect. Humanity had been preparing, not in secret laboratories or massive space fleets, but in the spirit of their people. When the first dropships landed outside a ruined industrial zone, the alien soldiers advanced confidently. They expected to crush frightened civilians. Instead, they met resistance stronger than any prediction. From shattered buildings came bursts of gunfire. Old weapons, yes, but wielded with deadly accuracy. From hidden tunnels emerged groups of fighters, their eyes cold, their movements precise. They were not soldiers from a single nation, but a mix of humanity. Farmers, engineers, veterans, even children turned defenders. The aliens scoffed at such defiance. They activated energy shields, unleashed plasma bolts, and pushed forward with advanced war machines. They expected the humans to break. Instead, the humans adapted. A man crouched behind broken concrete, steadying a simple rifle. He whispered for the others to hold. At his signal, explosives hidden in the rubble detonated, tearing through alien armor. The invaders stumbled, confused. How could such primitive weapons cut through their superior technology? Because humans fought with more than tools. They fought with instinct, creativity, and rage. All across the city, battles erupted. In the streets, small groups of humans harassed armored patrols. On rooftops, snipers pinned down alien officers. Underground, networks of resistance communicated through old, patched radios. Every attack seemed uncoordinated, but somehow it all tied together, like a predator circling its prey. The invaders underestimated Earth's greatest weapon, its people's refusal to surrender. Back on the flagship, the Admiral frowned as reports arrived. Casualties among his troops were far higher than expected. Entire squads had been ambushed. Armored vehicles had been destroyed by traps made from fuel, fire, and iron. Even unarmed civilians resisted, throwing themselves at soldiers, distracting them long enough for fighters to strike. The Admiral tried to dismiss it as chaos, but unease crept into his thoughts. This was not the easy conquest he imagined. Humanity was fighting back harder than any species before, and this was only the first day. As night fell on the smoking ruins of the city, the aliens regrouped, expecting the humans to retreat and hide. Instead, they saw lights flicker in the darkness. Signals passed from building to building. Then came the sound of drums, horns, and voices raised in defiance. The humans were not hiding. They were rallying from a distance. A child clutched her mother's hand, whispering, "We won't let them take our home." That same whisper echoed across the world in different languages, carried by different voices, yet all meaning the same. This was their planet, and no one would take it without a fight. The invaders thought they had chosen an easy war, but they had chosen Earth, and Earth was ready to remind them why fighting humans on their homeworld was the greatest mistake any enemy could ever make. The unseen resistance. The second day of the invasion began with fire raining down from the skies. Alien warships unleashed orbital strikes targeting bridges, power stations, and military bases. Their strategy was simple: cut human supply lines and crush their spirit. But humanity was not so easy to break. Underground bunkers lit up with activity. Hidden command centers built decades ago during old wars were reactivated. In those dark rooms, leaders, scientists, and soldiers gathered, speaking in hurried voices. They had been caught off guard, but now the scattered pieces were coming together. What the aliens never understood was that humans thrived in chaos. When cities fell, survivors formed resistance cells. When supply chains collapsed, humans improvised. Old factories once abandoned roared back to life, producing weapons, armor, and even makeshift vehicles. Every street corner, every tunnel, every ruined building became a battlefield. The invaders advanced with machines of war, hover tanks, drones, and armored infantry. They relied on order, precision, and overwhelming firepower. Yet every time they thought they had secured ground, the humans struck from shadows. In a small mountain village, alien troops searched for survivors. They marched with scanners, confident nothing could escape detection. But then, one by one, their machines began to fail. Wires fried, signals scrambled, circuits melted. They did not know that human engineers had repurposed old radio towers, flooding the air with interference. The soldiers panicked as their advanced weapons became little more than useless metal. From the forests came hunters with bows, rifles, and explosives strapped to their chests. They struck without warning, vanishing into the trees. For the first time, the aliens realized Earth itself was against them. In the deserts, militias carved tunnels under the sand, ambushing convoys from below. In the cities, street gangs and police officers fought side by side, their loyalty no longer to nations but to humanity itself. Farmers armed with shotguns defended their lands as fiercely as trained soldiers defended strongholds. The invaders began to fear the night. At dusk, humans struck harder, faster, and with cunning tactics no military textbook could explain. They used motorcycles to dart between armored columns, trucks packed with fuel barrels turned into rolling bombs, and even trains rigged to derail enemy convoys. What the aliens called reckless was actually survival instinct, sharpened through centuries of war. Back in orbit, the Admiral paced the command deck. His officers whispered uneasily, sharing reports of heavy losses. They had expected victory in hours, yet they were locked in battles that drained resources. And worse, something strange was happening. Human communications could not be silenced. Despite destroying satellites and power grids, messages spread everywhere. Old radios, printed papers, coded signals through light flashes on rooftops. No matter what, humanity kept talking, kept fighting. The invaders could crush armies, but they could not silence the will of a people. Then came a chilling discovery. An alien scout ship captured a group of human prisoners. The soldiers expected fear, begging, or submission. Instead, the humans smiled through broken lips. One of them whispered something the translator barely caught. "You have no idea what's coming." That message spread across the invasion fleet like wildfire. Officers demanded answers, but none came. Who was coming? What had humanity prepared that the aliens had not yet seen? On Earth, resistance groups joined forces in ways no outsider could predict. Rival nations, long divided, began to share supplies, intelligence, and soldiers. Old grudges disappeared overnight. Humanity, fractured for centuries, was uniting under one truth: survival. The aliens came to fight divided nations. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, one species, fighting together, on the ground where they were strongest. And in the silence of the night, under the ruined skies of Earth, strange movements began in the oceans, deserts, and mountains. Submarines that had never surfaced for decades moved into position. Old war bunkers, sealed and forgotten, opened their steel doors. Prototypes hidden away were rolled out for the first time. The invaders had thought they were fighting a broken world. What they had really done was force humanity to remember who they were, and the nightmare for the alien empire was only beginning. The hidden power, by the third week of invasion, the alien admiral was furious. What should have been a swift conquest had turned into a grinding war. His fleet still controlled the skies, his armies still held cities, but the planet refused to fall. Every street bled with resistance, every forest hid hunters, every ruined building became a trap. For every alien patrol that advanced, 2 more never returned. But then, reports came in that chilled even the most hardened invaders. Something massive was moving beneath the oceans. At first, the admiral dismissed it as human submarines, outdated relics of an ancient navy. Yet when the first alien destroyer was torn apart by a weapon no scanner could predict, doubts grew. Debris floated to the surface, burning. The sea itself seemed to rebel. Hidden deep under Earth's waters, humanity had preserved something the aliens could not imagine. Silent fleets built in secret shipyards, submarines larger and deadlier than any craft ever recorded in galactic history. For decades, nations had fought each other in fear of nuclear war, building weapons of last resort. When peace came, many thought those arsenals were dismantled, but not all of them. Some had been hidden not for war between nations, but for the unthinkable day when Earth itself was threatened. Now that day had come. The first counterattack began at night. Alien carriers hovered over the Atlantic, preparing another wave of strikes. From the depths below, missiles launched upward in sudden bursts of fire. They pierced through energy shields, detonating inside the carriers' hulls. 3 alien ships fell into the sea, burning wrecks swallowed by black waves. The galaxy's most advanced fleet had just been humbled by what they once called primitive humans. But the oceans were not the only secret. In the mountains, bunkers long abandoned during the Cold War awoke. Giant steel doors opened, revealing weapons buried for generations. Old rockets, repurposed with new technology, roared into the sky. From hidden factories came drones and armored vehicles, built not with sleek alien precision but with brutal efficiency. What humanity lacked in elegance, they replaced with raw, unrelenting force. In the deserts, test sites once thought forgotten revealed prototypes, massive railguns, plasma cannons, and aircraft built in secret projects. Many were unstable, dangerous, and never meant for battle, but humanity no longer cared. If the invaders wanted war, Earth would give them fire. The alien admiral's hands trembled as reports filled his command deck. Advanced ships crippled by ancient weapons, patrols annihilated by machines that should not exist. Even in space, human satellites, thought destroyed, were replaced with improvised systems guiding counterstrikes with deadly accuracy. "This is impossible," one alien officer whispered. They should not have this power. But humanity always had this power. They had simply been fighting themselves for so long that no one outside suspected how far they had come. Now, for the first time in history, every weapon was turned outward, united against a single enemy. The worst blow came days later. An alien dreadnought, larger than any Earth city, descended into low orbit, prepared to wipe out resistance with one decisive strike. But before it could fire, its systems went dark. Lights flickered, engines failed, weapons shut down. From below, hidden transmitters unleashed waves of electronic warfare, scrambling the dreadnought's controls. And then from the mountains came a barrage of missiles, human missiles, outdated but relentless. They struck one after another, until the massive warship fell in flames, crashing into the ocean with a thunder that shook continents. For the first time in centuries, Earth united as one world, one people. And together they brought down a ship that once ruled the stars. The admiral stood silent, staring at the wreck burning on the horizon. He had thought humanity weak, but he was beginning to see the truth. This was not conquest. This was awakening, and the galaxy had never seen anything like it. The counterstrike. The war had raged for months now, and the galaxy watched in disbelief. What was meant to be a swift invasion had turned into humiliation for the alien empire. Reports of burned warships, fallen cities reclaimed by humans, and shattered fleets spread across star systems. Species that once mocked Earth now whispered its name with fear. On the ground, the resistance had grown into a full war machine. What began as scattered fighters was now a united army. Men and women of every nation stood together, no longer divided by borders or flags. They fought not as Americans, Russians, Chinese, Africans, or Europeans. They fought as humans. Factories once silent were alive again. Engineers worked day and night, repairing machines, modifying captured alien weapons, and building hybrids of human and alien technology. Within weeks, humans had turned enemy plasma rifles into tools of their own, mounted alien cannons on trucks, and hacked into stolen drones. The invaders had brought their advanced technology, but it was humanity who learned faster. From orbit, the alien admiral raged at the losses. His fleet still outnumbered humanity's forces, but morale was collapsing. Soldiers who once marched with pride now hesitated at every dark street, every ruined forest, every shadow that could hide human eyes. Fear was spreading, and fear only grew worse when Earth struck back. It began with coordinated assaults on alien strongholds. In the ruins of New York, resistance fighters launched simultaneous attacks, cutting off supply routes and detonating bridges beneath alien armor columns. In Europe, entire villages rose at once, swarming patrols and overwhelming them with sheer numbers. In Asia, railguns hidden in the mountains pierced the skies, destroying low-flying carriers with blasts of light that echoed for miles. But the most shocking counterstrike came from the skies themselves. For decades, the world's governments had argued about space exploration, building prototypes but never uniting. Now those forgotten projects found purpose. Old shuttles refitted with weapons launched from hidden hangars. Experimental aircraft that had never seen daylight soared into battle. Even captured alien vessels, crudely repaired, now bore human crews. Humanity had taken to the stars, not in sleek fleets like the Empires, but in rough, improvised squadrons that struck with reckless ferocity. The first battle in orbit was chaos. Alien cruisers fired volleys of plasma, cutting through the darkness. Human ships weaved between them, smaller, faster, unpredictable. Many were destroyed, but those that survived struck with terrifying precision. Missiles that should have been outdated tore through shields. Drones, built from scavenged tech, slipped past defenses and detonated inside enemy hangars. The aliens fought with discipline. The humans fought with desperation, and desperation won. When the first alien cruiser exploded above Earth, cheers echoed across every bunker, every camp, every ruined city. Humanity had not only defended their home, they had reached into the void and drawn blood. The Admiral could no longer deny it. Humanity was not prey, they were predators, and they had just learned how to fight in space. But even as victory sparked hope, humanity knew the war was far from over. The alien empire still controlled the stars. Reinforcements could arrive at any time. And yet, deep in the mountains, in bunkers even the resistance had not known existed, something greater stirred. Projects hidden not just from other nations but from humanity itself were awakening. Massive hangars lit up, revealing ships larger than anything Earth had ever shown the world. Prototypes built in secrecy, tested only in shadows, now rolled into the light. Humanity had not only survived, they were preparing to strike back with fury the galaxy had never seen. For the first time since the war began, the question was no longer if Earth could survive. The question was, how far would humanity go to win? The fury of Earth, the alien admiral had never known fear, not until now. He had commanded fleets that burned worlds, conquered empires, and silenced rebellions. But here, over Earth, his fleet crumbled. He stared at the holographic map in disbelief. His once perfect battle lines were shattered. Red markers of destroyed ships filled the void where his mighty armada had stood. And still, the humans kept coming. What terrified him most was not their weapons but their will. No matter how many bombs fell, the humans rose again. No matter how many cities burned, resistance spread wider. What should have broken them only made them stronger. And then came the moment that sealed his fate. From the ocean's massive submarines surfaced, not to hide, but to fight. They launched missiles that streaked into the sky, tearing through carriers in orbit. From the mountains, railguns thundered, their blast punching holes in dreadnoughts. From the skies, swarms of fighters, human-alien hybrid, and improvised craft surrounded his ships, striking from all angles. But that was only the beginning. As the battle raged, the world saw something no one expected. From deep underground bunkers hidden for decades rose colossal war machines. Human-built starships, unfinished, untested, but real, emerged into the heavens. They were not elegant, not beautiful, but they were forged for survival. Brutal armor plating, devastating cannons, and engines that roared with defiance carried them into space. The galaxy had laughed at Earth, calling it a backwater planet. But Earth had been preparing for centuries in its own way. Not with diplomacy or grand fleets, but with the quiet paranoia of a species that had always feared extinction. Now, that paranoia had become humanity's greatest weapon. The Admiral gave desperate orders, but his soldiers no longer fought with confidence. They saw their cruisers fall to primitive missiles, their dreadnoughts collapse under coordinated strikes, their fleets scattered by relentless waves of human ingenuity. And the humans didn't stop at defense. The first captured alien ship, now painted with the flag of Earth, led a countercharge into orbit. More followed, crude but effective as humans piloted their enemy's own technology against them. Every move screamed one message across the void. We are not your prey. We are your reckoning. The Admiral knew the truth then. This was not just a failed invasion. This was the birth of something terrifying. Humanity united, armed, and awake. If they survived this war, they would not stop at defending Earth. They would rise into the stars, carrying the memory of every burned city, every fallen family, every insult hurled at their name, and they would never forgive. As his flagship shuddered under missile fire, the Admiral looked down one last time at the blue planet below. He had thought it weak. Now he understood. It was the most dangerous world in the galaxy. His final thought before the explosion consumed him was not of conquest, but of warning. A warning he knew he would never deliver. Fighting humans on their homeworld was not war. It was suicide. In the silence that followed, Earth burned, but Earth stood. Across the ruins, survivors raised their heads to the sky. The invaders were gone. The cost was heavy, but the spirit of humanity was unbroken. And in that moment, something greater than victory was born. A promise. Humanity would never again wait for war to come to them. The galaxy had shown its hand, and now Earth would rise to meet it. The stars belonged to many, but from this day forward, every empire would remember one truth carved in fire and blood: never fight humans on their homeworld.